Anime nowadays follow the same path of finding a genre that they fall into and staying within that genre, even if we're 100 chapters in and the writing becomes generic. If it sells, that's the only thing that matters. But times weren't always like this. We didn't need to follow the basic anime tropes such as the classic enemies to lovers, or the power of friendship that solves everything and defeats the villain that has the power to destroy and make the whole world collapse. But there was a time where anime that liked to be themselves flow and change together. It seemed more like a passion to write every character, every episode, the way in which the writer envisioned, stepping out of their comfort zone. And that one anime is Samurai Champloo. Giving a quick synopsis, Samurai Champloo follows our three main characters, with different personalities being polar opposites of each other, but at the same time complementing each other. You have Mugen, a charismatic, extroverted person shown through his fighting style. Then you got Jin, who's a bit more reserved and has a past that continues to linger within him to this day. And then you got Fu, the character that the main plot is centered around, the girl that's trying to find the man who smells the sunflowers. And yeah, that's all the show really tells us, because Samurai Champloo isn't really about the plot. Each episode has its own mini-story that puts the three characters in weird predicaments, starting with Fu getting Mugen and Jin into those situations in the first place.
Samurai Champloo's tone sets itself apart from most anime, as the main focus is always on what our three protags will do in any given situation. This is something that builds relatability amongst the characters, as we ourselves go through day-to-day predicaments, and our choices set the path in which we walk in today. People usually hate on the ending of Samurai Champloo, but I think it's perfect, because to Fu, Mugen and Jin, these 24 episodes were just a few months of their lives that will continue until their journeys, just like on that fateful day when they met at the shop. In comparison again, it's the exact same for us. Who knows if they will meet each other again, like how we meet people in our day-to-day life, whether we are friends for a few months or we see them every day. Samurai Champloo follows what life truly is about. Would I have preferred if Mugen died in that explosion? Would I have preferred if Jin or Fu died to that samurai? Or would I have even preferred if Mugen and Jin died to their duel that we've been waiting for since the start of the show? No, not at all. Samurai Champloo was bigger than that, bigger than the samurai who smells a sunflower. It was a story that focused on life, the path it leads, and the path the characters that we came to like so much would lead on. Quite possibly one of my favourite episodes in Samurai Champloo has to be something I can't say because it's taken me too many takes. Follows our three characters meeting a blind woman that is a singer. In a bar, Mugen helps her out as some men approach her. She then asks to join them, and of course Fu is quick to accept her company. She then turns out to have a boy that was taken from her, and we come to find out the only way for her to fix that is to kill our three protags. But something that made these two episodes stand out was Mugen and Sarah's relationship. Sarah's life was misery, and that was the life that she was made to live. But it's ironic because she hates pity and she hates the fact of people feeling bad for her, almost as if she loves the life that was given to her. Mugen on the other hand tries to understand her. Mugen, after talking to Sarah in the spring bath, says to Jin, and this shocks Jin, as later Sarah says she wants to buy her kid a toy, in which we know is a lie. She tells Mugen that both of them are a lot alike, when he makes a remark of never knowing who his parents were. Sarah then going on to compare the feeling of not knowing who your parents are to living a life without happiness. I believe this is an attempt of her to find closure and coping with the fact of her son not having her at his side, and I like the fact that she projects this type of pain onto Mugen. Later on, when she reveals her true motives, she says something pretty unique to Mugen that explains her misrepresentation of him being something that she didn't know but could sense. She doesn't project, she states the truth. Mugen has never been loved. He has never felt happiness, and what does Mugen do? Prove her point by adding on to it. She states this because she knows how he's going to attack. Mugen does exactly as we see in this episode and every other display of him fighting. He fights for desperation, or fights to kill, and then his misery. Just like her, moving further on, she willingly spares him from Fu's cries to stop. Coming into the second fight, Mugen, using Jin's technique, is able to get past the line of sight and going for the final blow, but Sarah allows this. Now Sarah has already figured out that her son was dead for a long time and she was being used. With this info, Sarah lets Mugen kill her. Her final words in the end show that she attached herself onto Mugen, wanting him to live a life that she could not live, but she could live through Mugen. For a show like Samurai Champloo fronting such a strong message of the value of freedom and the life of those that do not get the right to even claim their own lives as their own is something that makes us appreciate who we are as individuals. At least we have something that makes us smile, or something that makes us strive to have that end goal of feeling happiness.
One thing that many people have come to appreciate is the music. Now, Samurai Champloo's music is great, but honestly, I don't really feel like talking about that. I feel like talking about more so the type of music genre Samurai Champloo put me on, the type of Japanese underground music I had never heard of. And to this day, looking further in, one of the main music composers, Nujabes, which I've become a pretty big fan of, so instead of talking about a highly regarded OST, I want to recommend you guys to some of his stuff, being one of his best albums of all time, Lovesick, with the incorporation of Shingo 2 being the person that made the opening with Nujabes. In addition to Nujabes, 3 other composers, Fat John, Tsuchi, and Force of Nature had a major impact on the music of Samurai Champloo. The ending of this show is renowned for its excellent fight scenes, and the music plays a crucial role in enhancing the setting and tone of these battles. A prime example of this is the duel between Mugen and Godhand. The music shifts from jazz when Mugen engages to an almost echo-like sound that lingers, emphasizing Godhand's presence. The subtle drum beats that accompany Godhand's attacks and the transition to jazz when Mugen takes the offensive demonstrate the meticulous attention to detail. This nuanced approach makes even a short fight feel significant and shows the creator's passion for their work. Similarly, Jin's duels with Godhand reflect his evolving mindset. In their first fight, Jin's selfish motivations are mirrored by the fast-paced drums. In their second encounter, Jin fights for someone else's life, and the music shifts to a soothing melody with slow violin strings. This change underscores Jin's clarity and synchronization with the music and his mindset. The careful alignment of musical elements with character development and fight choreography enhances the viewer's appreciation of these scenes.